وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله جمعة.
Okay. Chalo. Right, so it's saying that if the buyer claims shufa on that other house that's being sold as the second house, then it's obvious because libaqai mulki, because he still has ownership over the house as long as the apparel clause is in place. Mulki filati yashfa'u biha, because of the because he retains ownership in that house for which he is claiming shufa. وكذا إذا كان للمشتري. And the same thing will apply for the mushtari. وفيه إشكال أوضحناه في البيوع. However, here is an objection. The objection I hinted to last week. Objection is that according to Imam Abu Hanifa, if the okay. So if a person claims khiyar al-shart, just to go back, if he claims khiyar al-shart, if it is the seller, it doesn't come out of his ownership. And the same thing will apply if it's the buyer who's claiming khiyar al-shart according to Sahibain. Right? No, sorry, not according to Sahibain. Yeah, according to Imam Sab, sorry. According to Imam Sab, it will still stay in the ownership of the buyer. However, Sahibin said no, it's transferred to the ownership of the mushtari. You follow?
Just repeat it now.
So the ishkal is this, that according to Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi, in both cases, irrespective of who claims apparel, khiyar al-shart, the house or the items will remain in the ownership of the seller, the bari. Sahibain says no. If the mushtari asks for apparel, he places that condition, then it is transferred, the item is transferred into his ownership. Okay?
Yeah.
So the ishkal is against Imam Saf. That how can the mushtari, not the ishkal but objection, how can the mushtari claim or be allowed shufa in that other house that's being sold next to the one he intends to buy when it is not in his ownership as yet? The Madal house, Abdullah's house in our example, is not in his ownership as yet, it's still in Abdullah's ownership. On what basis is he claiming shufa? So he's saying, Ya awdahnahu fil buyu, that we explain this in Kitab al-Buyu. Okay? So, inshallah, I didn't check it up. I'll try and find it, although the shuruhat say it's not actually there. But I'll try and find it, inshallah, if I can. فَلَا نُعِيدُ, so we won't repeat it. وإذا أخذها كان إجازة منه للبيع بخلاف ما إذا اشتراها. So if he takes it, understand, then this will be as if he's given permission for the sale. Contrary to that, if he buys it, وَلَمْ يَرَهَا, and he hasn't seen it. Okay? So the moment he takes the house that for which he placed a conditional khiyar al-shart, the moment he takes it, this will be considered to be approval of the transaction, and the khiyar al-shart will fall away. So therefore, the neighbor will be able to claim haqqu shufa in that. Okay, from the mushtari.
Yeah.
This is contrary to khiyar al-ru'ya. That's the next masala now. I can maybe just put a line there in pencil. So contrary to if he buys a house without having seen it. So if you buy something without actually having physically seen it or in some way seen it, understand? Then you have the right of khiyar ru'ya. Understand? Meaning that if on seeing it, you're not happy with what you bought, then you have the right to return that item and get a refund. حيث لا يبطل خياره بأخذها ما بيع بجنبها بشفعة. In this way, it's not the same. That his khiyar will not become invalid by taking that which is being sold next to the house of shufa. Next to the house that is buying, sorry. Taking it on shufa. You follow?
Yeah.
لأن خيار الرؤيا لا يبطل بصريح الإبطال. Why? Because khiyar ru'ya, it doesn't become invalid, even by him invalidating it clearly or verbally. فكيف بدلالته? So then how can it become invalid? Through dalalah. Meaning that if the person didn't see something and he purchased it, and even though he said at the time, if I do see it, I'll take it, regardless of whether I like it or not, even then he still has the right of khiyar ru'ya. It doesn't become invalid by him saying he's wavering that right. So if that is the case, then how can it become invalid? By him, by mere indication, or by mere indication of it. ثم إذا حضر الشفيع الدار الأولى له أن يأخذها دون الثانية. Now if the shafi comes, meaning Abdullah's neighbor on the other side, if he pitches up, he has the right to claim shuf'a in Abdullah's house, not in the other house on the other side, which is also being sold at the more or less the same time. You follow?
Okay.
So the mushtari or the bai can claim shuf'a on that other side, but the shafi can't claim shuf'a for both houses. He can claim on Abdullah's house, but not on the second house being sold. While in idami mulki fil ula, because he doesn't have any ownership in Abdullah's house, in our example. In the first house, which is in son Abdullah's house, he doesn't have ownership of it. The mushtari and the bai, they have ownership. He doesn't have ownership. And shufa is only based upon ownership ittisal. And because of ittisal of something that you own. He doesn't have ownership until the qadi decides the house in his favor. So he doesn't have, why? Because he does not have ownership. Then the lack of ownership or the non-existence of ownership in the first house at the time the second house was being sold. Got that?
Okay. Basically, if the
Understood?
guy has khiyar ru'ya,
Mm-hmm.
then he can, his khiyar ru'ya won't follow it, claim shubha for the other house.
And yes.
So he can still claim shubha, get that house, and then he can still cancel within the 3 years. Within the
No,
khiyar
haku
ru'ya period.
ru'ya, no, ru'ya is until, there's a few masala, this last one has nothing to do with that masala of khiyar ru'ya. The khiyar
Okay.
ru'ya becomes cancelled on citing it and then not returning it. Then it falls
Okay.
away. So on your citing of it, if you approve, then it falls away.
Okay.
And so let's come to an end. So basically, it's discussed 3 masail in one thing. Khiyaru shart for the buyer and the seller. And what is the masala? And then he's added another masala that if a third house is being sold, who has haku shufa in that, sorry, not a third house, a second house. If another house is being sold next to the one that's being sold, understand? Then who has the haku shufa in that? The mushtari, the buy, but not the shafi. And even though they had asked for khiyaru ru'ya. Then the fourth masala he mentioned is khiyaru shart. Then the fourth masala was called with regards to khiyaru ru'ya. Right? And the last masala, the fifth one, is that if the shafi comes in, he can only claim shufa, in our example, in Abdullah's house. He can't claim shufa in the other house. So there's like 5 masail there, right? Plus minus. Right. Now carrying on from there. وَمِنْ ابْتَاعَ دَارًا شِرَاءً فَاسِدًا فَلَا شُفْعَةَ فِيهَا. That if a person purchases a house, but in a invalid purchase, not invalid, how would you say? Fasid to translate as what? So in the Hanafi madhab, there's 2 types of transactions where it goes wrong. Bay'ul fasid and bay'ul batil. Bay'ul batil is invalid. Meaning what? That aynuhu la yan'aqid. the transaction itself as if it didn't happen. Okay? It will be as if the transaction itself didn't happen. But in Bayul Fasid, Aynuhu Sahih was Sifatuhu San Fasidun, as we did in Usul Shashi. There's nothing actually wrong with the transaction itself. The transaction itself was fine, but something was added to the transaction. There's another necessary component which is causing this corruption to the deal. So in the Hanafi madhab, you can, if by removing that facade, the bay becomes correct. And if it was already given over to the person buying, then it is wajib for him to return the goods, take back his money, and for them to redo the deal. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so if somebody purchased something but in a bayul fasid, then there's no shufa in it. Amma qabl al-qawz, as regards before, because once he takes ownership of it, even though it's bayul fasid, then it becomes tam. The bay becomes tam. Still wajib for them to cancel and redo, but the transaction is completed. فَلِعَدَمِ الزَّوَالِ. Okay, time is up. We will do this tomorrow, inshallah. What time is Isha now?
Shaya is at 55.
Okay, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum salam.